Hi, it's the Catholic CEO, Henry Katarna. You know, we believe that you can be fully Catholic and successful in business. That's our thing. We believe that. People have asked me recently for pro tips on running a Catholic business. How do you do it? Can you actually do it? So you know that we believe that you can do it. So I'm going to set that aside for the moment, and I'm going to assume that we'll try to prove that in some further later podcasts coming down the road. But right now, I have been thinking about this, how do you actually do it question. And so today, my idea is to pass on to you some pro tips for running a Catholic business using some high-level tests. We're going to get down in future podcasts to specific details, specific actual cases. We're going to talk about the hard actual cases that you will face as a Catholic business person, a Catholic business owner, or an employee of a business that may or may not be owned by Catholics. In other words, anybody who's in business or working for a living is going to face these questions. So today, some thoughts on the high-level tests of how do you know you're running a Catholic business? How do you know what to do? It's more than, let me begin by saying, it's more than just running a legal business that's incorporated or that has, follows all the laws of your state and so on in your province. It's definitely much more than that. Let's take a look at a couple of high-level principles first, and then we'll get into some high-level pro tips. First, the principles. I'm going to assert for you that truth versus profit will come up. And so it seems important to me that we as Catholic business owners think about the truth of everything we say or do, every assertion we make, every claim we make, every action we take. Is it true? Is it actually true? And I'm not talking about relativism, your truth, my truth, that sort of talk. I'm talking about the truth. Is it actually true? And I mentioned profit, not because it's the best word, actually. Profit is one of the words. Wealth, profit, advantage, competitive advantage, sales growth, all of those kind of come into it all. But let's, for the sake of discussion today, lump it all into the term profit. And so high-level principle number one, truth versus profit. If we assess everything we do in our business, how we treat our people, how we treat our customers, our suppliers, our contractors, and how we treat our processes, how we treat everybody we encounter, including those who have bought our service or our product or are about to. Are we speaking and acting truthfully in every sense? That's high-level principle number one today. High-level principle number two sounds a bit similar maybe, but it's called integrity versus profit. So high-level principle number two, integrity versus profit. What does integrity mean? I'll suggest to you that integrity means everything we do is consistent. What I say last week, I say this week. What I do last week, I do this week. What I suggest to you as an action as my employee is consistent last week to this week. How we make our product, how we build it, how we design it, how we sell it, how we ship it, what claims we make about it. It's the same last week as this week. So integrity is about consistency, but integrity also is about honesty. It's about making claims that are true, going back to the first principle. But integrity is more than a test of whether something is true or not. Integrity calls for consistency, long-run stability and steadiness, so that we're creating a sense of expectation that people know that we can be relied upon to do what we say, and it's the same yesterday and tomorrow, just like Christ. He has said to us, I am the same yesterday and tomorrow, meaning there is no difference. There's no change of behavior. There's no advancement, and there's no change of kind of approach, let's call it, to the way we make claims or do our actions. Today, then, I'm going to suggest these two high-level principles, which are going to govern then three other tests that I want to propose to you. And these three tests are also pro tips for running a Catholic business. One is, by the way, I'm going to use business terminology just for some fun. I'm going to assume that you are a Catholic who is well informed about your business and well informed about the teachings of the church. That means you are an accomplished business person, or somebody who has some experience in business, or if you're planning to start a business and you're planning to work with us or other advisors, you're going to be committed to operating according to professional business practices as well as, let's call it, professional Catholic practices. And so the three high-level tests, the pro tips are: number one, remember, I'm going to use business terminology, a cost-benefit analysis; number two, the sanity test; and number three, the legal test. Now work with me on this. We're going to have some fun here, because these three terms, you hear them bandied about in the boardroom, in the executive room, in every startup. People want to do a little cost-benefit analysis, which is my smarter move, this or that. The sanity test, does it even make sense to do what I'm suggesting? And the legal test, is it right or wrong according to current law? Cost-benefit analysis. I propose to you, as a Catholic business owner or somebody who works in a Catholic business, that every decision you make in business is a cost-benefit analysis. I'll give you three quick examples. Heaven versus hell. Now you're thinking, okay, this is starting to sound like theology. Yes, it is. Or the catechism. If you govern your business actions in every case, every situation you face, whether you're an employee or an owner of a business, with all your different powers and authorities that you have in those different levels, whether you're running a large corporation, or whether you're doing a small home-based startup from the spare room or the basement, is this decision I'm about to make, this action I'm about to take, is it something that will lead me to heaven or to hell? Here's another version of it: truth versus lie. If I'm doing a cost-benefit analysis, am I going to tell the truth in every case? Or am I going to be tempted to, if not directly lie, fudge the truth a little bit, be a little slippery about it, short my customer, make claims that are not exactly 100% provable, or send products out with a certain, let's call it, error rate that's acceptable, cost-benefit analysis. If I can get away with 5% faulty product, shoddy merchandise, am I still okay? Will I have some hassles? The Catholic business owner, the Catholic business employee would not want to do that. They would want to be objectively testing every decision they make, everything they do, every action they take. Truth versus lie. Truth versus lie. Do the cost-benefit analysis. Now you're going to see here that typical cost-benefit analysis generates a number, let's say 60-40. You might have a situation in business where the benefits are $60, 60 units, 60%. The cost, or the negative, might be 40. Well, then I'm going to do it, because on balance, it looks better. It works better for us, 60-40. If it were 40-60, well, we won't do it, because the cost, the negative, outweighs the benefit. The Catholic cost-benefit analysis I'm going to propose to you is 100-0 and nothing else. 100-0. It has to be that. If you say 99, then you're accepting less than the truth. You're accepting less than heaven. And if you want to take a third example on right versus wrong, the simple test of right versus wrong. If you're not 100% and 0% towards the right, you're going to accept a little bit of wrong. And that's like the drop of poison. That's like the jar of M&Ms with one poisoned M&M. Which one is it? The whole batch has to be thrown out, doesn't it? If you have one poisoned M&M, you're not going to play the roulette game and try to test M&M after M&M and hope that you don't eat the poisoned one. And so my first of the 3 high-level pro tips, following our 2 principles, truth versus profit, integrity versus profit, the cost-benefit analysis. I've used the business terminology, but I'm going to propose to you that it has to be 100-0 in every case. You cannot, let me ask it another way. How could you imagine that it could be less than 100 and 0? Could it be 90-10? Lord, I'm doing 90% of the truth. Lord, I'm doing 90% right versus 10% wrong and 10% lie. Obviously, a well-informed Catholic conscience says, no, I'm not going to do it that way. That's the problem in business from the secular point of view. Because the secular point of view, I will not make an accusation, but I'll make an observation that the secular point of view may, in fact, say that it's acceptable to lie a little bit or to let a little small percentage of faulty product go out the door, or make a claim that's just a little bit not so clear. We don't do that. The Catholic business, on the cost-benefit analysis, 100-0, that's it, no claim. Prove me wrong. Second high-level pro tip underlying the 2 principles, the sanity test. You know, we do this all the time. We hear an idea, we're sitting in the boardroom, we're sitting in the meeting room, we're talking to employees, we're talking to fellow business owners, we're an employee talking about the way the boss runs the business, whatever it is. The sanity test. Does some idea that's been proposed make any sense at all? Is it really out there? Is it so zany that it's just crazy? The sanity test. In business, we do this all the time. So let's apply the Catholic sanity test, just like we applied the Catholic cost-benefit analysis a couple of minutes ago. The Catholic sanity test is, would our Lord respect this decision? You know, would our Lord, if he were standing right beside us as we lead our business, and we said something, we did something, we issued an order, we issued an instruction, we made a move in a certain direction in our business, would our Lord respect that decision? Or would he look at us like he looked at Peter? You know the story. He looked upon him and Peter wept bitterly. So we need to be doing the sanity test also in our business. And we need to do it, yes, from a business perspective, because, you know, I suppose you could say our Lord wouldn't respect us making a foolish decision. He's given us rational thought, free will, intelligence, tools, talents, abilities. And so obviously when we do the sanity test, we're not going to be so foolish as to do anything that would be against the conventional wisdom, let us say. But the beauty of the Catholic running a Catholic business is that he or she can always say, would our Lord respect this decision? That's a pretty good test, in my opinion. See what you think. And then third, today I'm going to talk about the legal test. We always do this in business, you know it. Every time you do something, you're thinking to yourself, is it legal? You know, does it pass the tax code in my country, in the US or Canada, the IRA and the CRA? Does it actually pass the tax? Can I actually do this according to the tax laws of my nation or my country? Is it legal in terms of my state or my province? Is it legal in terms of my town? Does it fit all the bylaws? You know, so we do this in the Catholic CEO. When we have our startup courses, we always talk about the due diligence that you must do to start a business. Even if it's a little home-based business out of your spare room or your basement, you still have to follow the rules of your municipality, your city, your town, your village, or your state or your country. What does the Catholic do on the legal test? Well, he certainly does all of what I've just said. Try this one on. The Catholic then does the natural law versus civil law test. The Catholic says, what's the natural law say about this? Is this something that's natural? Is it something that centuries of philosophical analysis, including from pagan philosophers long before the time of Christ, long before God appeared to Abraham and began that whole Old Testament journey, the natural law concept was in place, even under pagan philosophers, long before Christianity, long before God made himself known to man. There was this concept of natural law. And we know as Catholics that God implants in the hearts of everyone the natural law. We know what's right and wrong. You watch a 1-year-old walking, doing something that the 1-year-old shouldn't be doing. What does the 1-year-old immediately do? Turns and looks at the parents to check. And if you don't believe me, or if you don't know this as a parent, check it out, ask somebody. Even at the age of 1, a child knows that the natural law is written on their heart, his heart, her heart, and they look to the parent when they kind of sense they're doing something wrong. They don't have it developed in the way that someone who has fully reached the age of reason does, of course, but the natural law is there. And so my suggestion to you is the natural law test versus civil law. For something is legal in the civil law, we can accept that we can do it according to civil law, the secular world. However, you know as a Catholic that there are many civilly sanctioned laws that are actually against the natural law or against church teaching. And so if you are going to do the legal test from the point of view of a typical business person, as a Catholic business owner or a Catholic employee, you're going to want to add the natural law test. Does it pass the natural law test? And does the civil law that you're speaking about pass either the natural law test or simply the test of right and wrong, according to church teaching? Just versus unjust. I'm sliding now a little bit into virtue, but I'll just mention just versus unjust because we also have an instinctive an instinctive kind of, I guess, memory or thought about what's just versus unjust. And so let me turn to the virtues then that we spoke about in a previous podcast. If you look at the 7 major Catholic virtues, faith, hope, and charity, certainly, and prudence, justice, temperance, fortitude, those 7 virtues in total are brilliant tests, not only for the Catholic person trying to improve their spirituality, but also for the Catholic business owner. If we tested everything we did against, does it contribute to the growth of faith or does it detract from faith? Does it give hope or does it detract from hope? Is it charitable or is it uncharitable? Does it contribute to the growth of pride? Is it just? The example we mentioned a few minutes ago. Is it temperate? Is it balanced? Is it reasonable? Does it contribute to fortitude? Is it strong? Is it gutsy? Is it right? Can we, by doing this, do we stand up to the popular culture, the secular culture, and stand up and take a stand and be ready to pay the price for it? I'm going to throw in, just for fun, the 7 deadly sins: pride, envy, gluttony, lust, anger, greed, sloth, some people say. Obviously, you will need to test everything you do against those. You don't want to run a business that contributes, not only doesn't do the 7 deadly sins, but it will never contribute to the chance, the opportunity for somebody in your business, an employee, a contractor, a supplier, a customer, a worker, to experience one of these deadly sins or more. That sounds like a tall order, and it is, but it's not any different than any Catholic having to govern their personal life in the same way. If you're a parent, if you're a father or a mother, or you're a student, or you're a young business person, a young employee newly starting in your business career, you're testing yourself against these things every day. The confession lines are long because of our failures, understandably, yes, but we need to make sure that we test ourselves in business along the same lines. In a certain way, what I'm saying to you is the corporation, the business, is an individual entity, just like we are as a person. Now, you know, in the legal concept of a corporation, it is a person under the law, although the structure is different than an individual, of course, but the concept is what I'm after here. And remember, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert, I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you that we know that there is a law that governs things, and we have to govern ourselves that way, whether we're a corporation or an individual. You can't pierce the corporate veil, as they say, without finding out that a corporation is a person under the law. Anyway, without going on too much about the virtues, that's another high-level test for you in business. And it comes under the legal test. So in these few minutes, what I've tried to do is, at a very high level, answer the question that someone asked me a couple of weeks ago. What are some pro tips for running a Catholic business, and how do you actually do it? What are some of the tests? What I've tried to do today is introduce two principles: the principle of establishing whether there's a balance or a correct approach between truth and profit. Remember, profit is a complex word that I've used to describe everything: wealth generation, competitive advantage, business activity, and so on and so on. Truth versus profit, high-level principle number one. High-level principle number two, integrity versus profit. It's a little different thing. Truth and integrity are different, perhaps, sides of the same coin. Integrity is the wholeness, the approach, the consistency, the pattern. Truth is an objective binary choice: yes, no, black, white. Integrity is a bit longer. It's linear. It goes through time. It's about consistency, about a pattern of behavior. Those are the two high-level principles. And then I've introduced three business terms that we typically use, and I've added to them the concept of using those terms to test against Catholic values, Catholic principles. Cost-benefit analysis, heaven, hell, truth, lie, right, wrong. The sanity test: would our Lord, if he were standing here looking over my shoulder, which he is, by the way, would he respect this decision? The legal test: does it pass civil law, our planned activity? But more importantly, does it pass the natural law test, the test of the Catholic faith that we know that is written on our heart and it's documented in our catechisms? And a very nice sub-test of the legal test is the virtues: prudence, justice, temperance, fortitude, faith, hope, and charity. And of course, missing out on the 7 deadly sins. And so I've tried to bring, in a simple, straightforward way, the Catholic principles right into the business. These are pro tips at a high level. Next time we talk, I'm going to start introducing actual cases, things that you as a Catholic business person, owner, or employee are going to experience every day. The culture is going to be throwing these things at us. Well, it already has been for decades. The culture keeps throwing these things at us. The law keeps constricting us. Tighter, tighter, tighter. Expectations, social pressure to do certain things that are inimical, actually against the Catholic faith. We as business people constantly under pressure. It's why I believe that we need to create a Catholic economy. We need to create a supportive network around us of other Catholic business owners who are prepared to pay the price of being fully Catholic. And you know that at the Catholic CEO, we believe you can be Catholic and successful in business. We say, we believe you can be Catholic and successful in business. Believe it. We say that on a regular basis. And we try to put it into practice in our own business. And we want to suggest that you can do the same. There's a bit of a price to pay. There may be a big price to pay, as we'll see when we get into specific cases. But even at this level, at the highest principle level, there's a price to pay, because we're introducing yet another layer of discussion and analysis and thought, complicated by the fact that our businesses, as they get larger, may not be employing fully Catholic people all the way through. That adds an extra level of complexity. But those individuals, I think, for the most part, will respect that what we're doing as Catholic business owners, taking these Catholic indicators into account, these pro tips into account, are not really offensive to anybody in the secular culture, except for somebody who wants to take the shortcut, who wants to cheat and lie. But that person is somebody we don't want anyway in our business. We want them to depart from us, as our Lord would say. I hope that you have found some value in this. Let us know. Check out our website, www.thecatholicceo.com. Check out our free courses, our paid offerings. Check out our various other services we offer, and the helps and the downloads and the case studies and all these things that we are trying to introduce into the marketplace so that people understand more about how you can run a Catholic business and still be successful in business. You don't have to cheat. You don't have to lie. You don't have to prevaricate. You don't have to be slippery and slide around to be successful in business. And there are many ways to do that. That's what we intend to do in the future. Thanks for joining me today. It's the Catholic CEO, Henry Katarna. See you next time.